Will you
Can
start?
we start, sir?
Yes, yes, please, madam.
Yeah.
Good
Uh,
evening to all of you. Uh, uh, so, on behalf of Philosophy Family, I extend a hearty welcome to all of you to be part of Philosophy Family on this August occasion. Friends, this is a regular program of Philosophy Family on every Sunday. We organize webinars inviting the eminent professors of our country and abroad. And today we have invited one of the eminent professors of our country, Madam Dr. B.R. Santha Kumari, the senior professor and former head Department of Philosophy, Pondicherry Central University. And today she will speak on the Sabda Pramana in Advaita. And this is a very popular subject that she likes to deliver. And Professor Santha Kumari ma'am had done his MA, MPhil, PhD from University of Madras and Pondicherry University. And Madam joined in the Department of Philosophy, Pondicherry Central University, when it was here in the School of Eastern and Western Thought in 1989. Professor Santha Kumari has already delivered more than 150 lectures in different national and international conferences in reputed universities of our country and abroad in Canada, USA, Korea, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Greece, China, and many other countries. And Professor Santha Kumari is very popular for her lecture on politics and religion, Indian perspectives, when she was delivering it in UNESCO, and it was very popular. This lecture was very popular, and uh, Professor Santha Kumari has guided many projects, many dissertations, and many theses. Many students have got PhD under her noble guidance. Professor Santha Kumari had secured UGC sub status for department. Uh, Professor Santha Kumari started Indian Journal of Philosophy, Religion, Culture as an editor, and she is a very able editor in editing such a glorious journal for the cause of philosophy. And Professor Santha Kumari has obtained many awards for her academic achievement, both in our country and abroad. Madam has edited and authored many books, and he has more than 27 publications. And some of the publications, those are very popular among the research scholars and students are transformative metaphysics, Advaita as a model, Osho Shaiva Siddhanta view, and religion, nature, aims and function, reality, world and souls, and many other books are there that I do not want to explore all the things because of this scarcity of time. And today, I welcome Professor Santha Kumari to our family, to this academic platform of this country. And I also extend my welcome um, to Professors Ranjit Ghosa, Professor Avinash, Professor Jayanti, Professor Jaranjan, Professor Vijayalakshmi, Professor Vishnu Chaudhary, Professor Namita Gautami, Anjali, Ravindra, and many other professors that I can see their names on the screen, and I do not see the names of other scholars, other viewers in this platform. So I extend my welcome to all the scholars, students, and professors of philosophy and other disciplines to be here on this academic platform of Philosophy Family. And I extend my welcome to our Chief Architect of Philosophy Family, Professor Pramod Pandas, Professor Dr. K. Unan Rao. They are acting as the admins of Philosophy Family. And with this, I once again extend my welcome to all of you and request Madam uh, Dr. B.S. Santha Kumari to commence her speech on Sabda Pramana in Advaita. Over to Madam.
Thank you for your generous introduction. And without dwelling too much on the externals of the thing, I first thank Professor Pramod Kumar Das for this opportunity. And this is a very important topic in Indian philosophy, and especially in the case of Shabda, which is much misunderstood by both Indians as well as Westerners. So I thought it important to clarify these important points with regard to Shabda as a pramana in Advaita especially. So the topic, as you see, is Shabda Pramana, Shabda as a pramana in Advaita. Now you know that the whole metaphysics, whether Eastern or Western, any philosophy has three broad divisions: epistemology, dealing with knowledge, sources of knowledge, kinds of knowledge, error, criteria for valid cognition, error, theories of truth, all these. This is known as Pramana Vichara. Metaphysics, which discusses the categories of the metaphysical triangle, namely absolute reality, the conscious jivas, and the non conscious lived world, Jagat. Now, is it one reality or many? The interrelation between these phenomena, all these are discussed in metaphysics, that is Tattva Vichara or Prameya Vichara. And ethics, that is Sadhana or Phala Vichara, which discusses the means to attain liberation or moksha in Indian philosophy, which is the highest Purushartha. And Indian philosophy is very pragmatic. It is not interested in any kind of activity which has no significance for moksha. And it is not wrong to say that Indian philosophy, most of the systems except Charvaka, are all moksha oriented. Even Nastika systems, Jainism and Buddhism, they emphasize on liberation or nirvana for overcoming samsara caused by avidya. Now, the importance of epistemology, pramana, epistemology is the logical justification for metaphysics. And metaphysics in turn influences ethics. That is why it is said, Mana Adhina Meya Siddhihi. For establishing the tattvas or philosophy, metaphysics, the exercise is dependent on the pramanas that are admitted in a system. That is why I told you that this epistemology is the logical justification for metaphysics. For example, see, we say that Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Na Paraha. And the purpose of Shruti, according to Advaita. The definition for pramana, pramakaranam, pramanam. Pramana is a source of valid cognition or knowledge. And what is prama? Abhadita Vishayaka Jnana. Pramana has Vishaya Abhadita. Abhadita Vishaya. What is that Abhadita? Brahman. It is Trikala Abhadita, and that is the Vishaya which Shruti is trying to teach. And the purpose of Shruti, Prapanchasya Pravilayaha Shabdena Pratipadyate. To teach the dissolution of the world, we know we have to rely on Shruti. And I have therefore told you Pramana definition, and Prama is Abhadita Vishaya. Only Brahman is Abhadita. Except Brahman, all other phenomena are Mithya. Now, in Advaita, as you know, there are 6 pramanas: Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Shabda, Attapati, Anupalabdhi, except Shruti, which is placed on one side. All the other 5 pramanas have got only Vyavaharika Pramanya, empirical validity. Shruti alone has got Paramarthika Pramanya or transcendental validity. So, Shruti alone is Pramana. Why? I told you because the only object worthy of attainment for the Advaitin is Brahman. So the Pramana which helps him attain that Brahman is Shruti. And so these Vyavaharika Pramanas are Pramanas only by courtesy. They are Aupacharika. They are called Pramanas Aupacharika. Shruti alone is Pramana, main Pramana for the Advaitin. And now when we say Shabda, we have Shruti, Smriti, and Aptavakya. Aptavakya, you know, there are 4 conditions for an Apta. That is, first, the person must be free from Pramana, Prameya, and Pramatru doshas, free from Brahma, free from intoxication. The person must be self-realized and must be motivated by a desire to share the truth. Must be a self-experienced person, that is a jnani, and must be wishing the welfare of the people, just like Buddha and Shankara after realization worked for the welfare of human beings to liberate humanity from ignorance. Now, why is it that other pramanas cannot give knowledge of self? Pratyaksha gives knowledge of objects which are saguna, have parts, are stula, are external, gross, which can be touched, weighed, and all that. But Atman is Ati Sukshma. It is innermost. It is Nirguna, Nirvisesha. It cannot be seen. Therefore, Pratyaksha cannot be um, accessed or known by the Indriyas and the mind. That is why Shruti says, Yatho vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. So, Shruti is to give knowledge about phenomena that cannot be known through other indriyas and the mind. That is the purpose of Shruti. What cannot be perceived through indriyas and the mind has to be known through Shruti. Now, Anumana. Anumana is based on Vyapti. Vyapti between two phenomena, the object and another phenomenon with which it is inseparably associated. For example, fire and smoke. Between the paksha and the hetu. So here, self is ekameva advitiyam. Therefore, there is no another phenomenon to function as its dharma. It is one only without a second. Therefore, that vyapti is not possible because this self is one only and it is nirguna nirvisesha. Then upamana also the same problem. Upamana is based on sadrishya between two phenomena, similarities and differences. But once again, because self is ekameva dvitiyam, there is no second, nothing like the self, nothing equal to the self, nothing different from the self. Therefore, Upamana also cannot give knowledge of the self. Then Arthapatti. Arthapatti operates on the basis of Bheda, difference. But here self is Ekarasa, Abhinna, Akhanda, and infinite, Sarvavyapi. So this Veda operates only at the empirical level, not at the transcendental level. Therefore, Arthapatti also cannot give knowledge of self. And last pramana, Abhava pramana, that is Anupalabdhi, gives knowledge about absence of objects, abhava of objects. But the self is bhavarupa. It is a positive category. It is nitya vastu. There is no time when it is non-existent. Therefore, Anupalabdhi also cannot give knowledge of the self. All this you can find reasons given by Sureshwara in his Naishkarmya Siddhi. Now, therefore, we have to rely upon Shruti as a pramana because Shruti alone is apaurusheya and therefore free from samshaya viparyaya. Now, because Shruti is a pramana, somebody may object saying that we cannot accept Shruti as a pramana because it is based on pratyaksha, and because it is based on pratyaksha, it cannot falsify pratyaksha. So Sureshwara here in his Naishkarmi as Siddhi, as I told you, which is a bhashya, independent bhashya of Sureshwara on the Brahma Sutra of Badarayana, says that a baby is dependent upon the mother while it is still in the womb. Only after the fetus is born as a baby, it becomes an independent human being. Until that baby is in the womb of the mother, it is dependent on the mother for nourishment. Similarly, Shruti is dependent on Pratyaksha only for Utpatti, not for Vyapara, not only for origination and not for delivering its functions. Here again, if we want to talk about in today's science and technology terms, we can say the satellite and rocket. The rocket launches the satellite in space. The satellite will send pictures. It orbits in space, but the satellite by itself will not jump into space. It is dependent on the rocket which takes it up there into space, launches it there. But the rocket is not able to do the function which a satellite performs. But the satellite is dependent on the rocket for getting to space. Like that, Pratyaksha is only a means for Shruti. We read the book or we hear the verses or the words, and what that function of Shruti does is entirely different from Pratyaksha, what it does. Shruti, what the function it does, although it is dependent on Pratyaksha, the functions are totally different. Then, the second objection, somebody may say we cannot accept Shruti as a pramana because it is falsified by Pratyaksha and other pramanas. For example, Jiva is so miserable, it is finite. How can you say Jiva and Brahman are identical? Satchitananda, all that. So here we have to take this example. For example, I'll give you everyday example. Suppose a student in the third standard, 10th standard, class 5, they are all becoming first, getting first rank in their class. The only similarity between them is they are all first in their class, but the subjects studied by them, the levels to which they belong, and the answers that they have gone through, the question and answers, the examinations are different. There can be a test only when all of them are doing the same paper, the same questions. Only when they answer that we can probably say that you can evaluate what is what. But here, Sureshwara will say there is no clash in the functions of the pramana because of pramana vyavastha. For example, the plane flies in the sky, the bus goes on the road, a boat moves on the river or a ship on the sea. And there cannot be a collision between the airplane, the bus, and the boat because they are all operating at different levels. Shruti is talking only upon Paramarthika phenomena, not about empirical phenomena. That is why you see Shankara saying, even if 1,000 scriptures say that fire is cold, reject it because it is not the business of Shruti to talk about empirical phenomena, whether fire is cold or hot. That is done by other pramanas. For example, a sword is used only in battle. We don't, although you can cut brinjals and chilies with it, we don't do that. We don't burn sandalwood for firewood to heat a pot of water or cooking purposes. Sandalwood is used for better purposes like making murtis of gods or artifacts and other things. So, there is no clash in the functions of the pramana. Therefore, the empirical pramanas, the five, they cannot contradict Shruti because Shruti is apaurusheya and free from samshaya and viparyaya. All these errors which occur due to pramana, prameya, and pramatru doshas. Then, third, somebody can say, I will not accept Shruti as a pramana because I doubt. I have doubts about what Shruti is telling. Here, this is not a valid objection once again, according to Siddheshwara, because Shruti is apaurusheya. We can doubt if Shruti is paurusheya, whether the person has a hidden agenda, all that, some ulterior motive. But here, because Shruti is apaurusheya, there cannot be any doubt regarding its validity or the content, the Vishaya about which that Shruti is discussing. Now, finally, one may say Shruti is all meaningless. Here, Sureshwara loses his cool and he says Shruti is meaningless to a person who is a lump of clay in human form. Just like we make Gobar Ganesh, or in the West, people make snowman, or murtis of Ganesh are made from clay, like that. To a person who is a lump of clay in human form, you can say that Shruti is meaningless. So these are the objections, possible objections that can be raised against Shruti as a pramana. So I have defined pramana, what prama is, then apaurushaya nature of Shruti because of which it is pramana. Then I told you why other pramanas cannot give you knowledge of self, why you have to have Shruti as a pramana, I have told you. Now, Shruti, in the West, people have been criticizing, saying that Indian philosophy is dogmatic because it is based on scripture and therefore there is no argumentation, there is no philosophy in India. All these scriptures are only poetry, and there is no novelty in Indian philosophy. Now, this is due to a misunderstanding about Indian philosophy. That is, for example, in the West, uh, you know that philosophy was having problems with the church. All these philosophers, because you know the Copernican revolution and all the other scientific discoveries which falsified the content of their scriptures, was not liked by the church or the religious leaders. But this is not the case in Indian philosophy because for our Indians, we have divided knowledge into four groups: Anvikshiki, Trayi, Varta, Dandaniti. And according to Kautilya, if Anvikshiki is strong, then there is progress and prosperity in all the other three domains, that is Trayi, Varta, and Dandaniti. Trayi, as you know, the three Vedas, Rig, Yajur, and Sama. Atharva was not regarded as proper because of all this black magic and other things. Then Varta, Commerce, Dandaniti, Politics and Statecraft. So the fact that the ancient rishis made a distinction between Anvikshiki and Rayi, that itself shows that the Indians were conscious of the difference between scripture and philosophy. Every religion has a philosophy, but philosophy need not be religious or theistic. It can be skeptic, it can be atheistic, monistic, monotheistic, pantheism, panentheism, all kinds of philosophies we have. But philosophy need not be religious. So here we find that in our Indian continent, branches of knowledge were identified as 64. 64 branches of knowledge. And the purpose of Shruti is to give you Adhyatma Vidya. It is the science of the soul. It is science. Philosophy is a rigorous science in India. Why? Because for a science, it is all based on hypotheses, experiment, observation, and then it has its own results. The same is the case with philosophy. The scriptures themselves are the hypotheses. The experiments have to be conducted by the sadhaka, the day to day world, and the avastatraya, the experience that a person undergoes every day during bondage to liberation. That is the experiment that is done. And if the person is vigilant and observes, then they are able to get the pala, moksha, depending upon the tivrata of the sadhaka. Manda, Madhyama, Uttama adhikarins. So that adhikaritva has to be there for the student, because although everybody studies philosophy, everybody does not become a Jivan Mukta, because all of them possess different degrees of Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi is the prerequisite. Just like a person having jaundice cannot see white color, so also as long as avidya clouds the person's vision, they will not be able to visualize the truth. That is why you have the Uluka Nisha Nyaya example given in scriptures. For the person who is empirically minded, Sureshwara says, don't even discuss the meaning of philosophy, Naishkarmya Siddhi with them if they are lacking in the sadhana chatushtaya. Only if the chitta shuddhi is there and the person has those qualifications, shamadamadi, that viveka, vairagya, shat sampatti, and mumukshutva, only they will be able to be successful in realizing Brahman. So, the science, according to Indian criteria, a Shastra should fulfill four conditions called the Anubandha Chatushtaya. That is, first, it has to state what the Vishaya is, what is the subject matter. For Shruti, Jiva, Jagat, Brahman, all these spiritual phenomena, these are the Vishaya. What is the Pramana? Shruti, which is Apaurushaya. Then, who is the Adhikarin? The person who is equipped with I told you sadhana chatushtaya and goes through Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. What is the phala? Jivan Mukti. So these are the criteria: Pramana, Vishaya, Adhikarin, and Phala. These are the four criteria fulfilling which any branch of knowledge can be called science. This is Adhyatma Vidya, and the works, scriptures are Moksha Shastra. So, moksha here is not a post death experience because Jivan Mukti is possible even when the person is alive, and the only problem is adhyasa with the body, mind, senses at three levels: body, senses, mind, because of which, even though the jiva is identical with Brahman, it thinks it is finite jiva. This is why Advaita gives the example of the Dashama Purusha, the 10 fools who crossed the river, and the person who was counting did not count himself. He thinks the 10th person is washed away or drowned in that river, but only when sadhu or another person is able to show that all of them are 10th, and the person who is counting, he himself is the 10th, then the person realizes that he is the Dashama Purusha. So it is adhyasa atasmin tad buddhihi, caused by avidya, avarna and vikshepa shaktis. Avarna conceals the Satchidananda nature, which is the Visesha, Visheshamsa of the Atman. And Vikshepa Shakti makes the Atman, Anatman appear as Atman. That is, it makes the body, mind, senses to be believed as Atman. So, this is how we have to go through Avastatraya Vichara, Panchakosha Vichara, then get initiated by a self realized guru, study scriptures, Mahavakyas, interpret the Mahavakyas properly, and then as the person acquires Chitta Shuddhi and goes through Shravana Manana Dididhyasana, the Uttama Adhikarin is able to accomplish it in this life itself. So that is how the Advaita sadhana goes. Now, what we have to say is new knowledge. What is the new knowledge that is being given? New knowledge is identity of Jiva with Brahman, which cannot be given by other pramanas, and the mithyatva of the Jagat. For example, Confucius tells, I slept and dreamt that I became a butterfly. Now, after waking up, I don't know whether I'm a human being or a butterfly dreaming that it has become a man. So, this way, the new knowledge that we are getting is just as the person discovers that he is the 10th person, although the Atman is there, because of Dehabhimana, the person did not realize the Brahma Swarupa. And that is why every day we are going through Sushupti to know that this is the kind of stage that can be attained permanently through self realization. That is the novelty. Now, although the scriptures are the same, interpretations are different. That is the newness. Whether Advaita or Visishta Advaita or Dvaita, the Vedas are the same, but interpretations are different. That is why we have Shankara speaking about Jiva Brahma Aikya on the basis of Abheda model, gold and ornaments. There's a Ramanuja Chitta Chit Vishishta Brahma, where Jivas and Jagat are attributes of Brahman. And Madhva talks about Panchamaha Vedas, absolute difference between Jivas and Jagat, Jagat and Brahman, Brahman and the Jivas, difference among the Jivas, and difference among the objects of the world. So here the newness is because Indians have been given the freedom to question philosophy, which is not there in religions in the West. Philosophy is different from religion. Philosophy, I told you, need not be religious, but every religion has a philosophy. And the difference here between religion and philosophy is philosophy operates on the basis of tarka and yukti, logic and reasoning. Religion operates on the basis, methodology of religion is Shraddha and Bhakti. If there is Shraddha and Bhakti in philosophy, it will become dogmatism. But it is because of Tarka and Yukti, admitted by all systems of Indian philosophy, that classics of Indian philosophy, they are not only scriptures but also excellent works of philosophy, because the kind of analysis that has gone in Indian philosophy, you cannot, they are more thoroughgoing than what we see the arguments in the West. And for the Indians, reason, yukti, is only pramana anga, tarka. Tarka, pramana anga. It cannot reveal the truth, but it can show what is false. Why? Because for knowing the truth, we don't need a pramana. Pramana is needed only in the case of objects which cannot reveal themselves, which are not swaprakasha. For example, you enter a dark room, the table and chair, the book and the pen, they will not say, I am here. You need a light to see where they are. But for seeing that light in the dark room, you don't need another lamp or a torch. So a pramana is required only for knowing objects which are not swaprakasha. But self Atman is swaprakasha. Therefore, Shruti also is only an indirect pramana. It cannot directly reveal the self. It can negate only what is mithya. Just like a lamp which is burning, but the light is obstructed by the pot that is turned on it upside down. If you remove that pot, you can see the light. Similarly, by negating all the deha, the indriyas, and the manas, na iti, negative method, we can realize Brahman. Therefore, Shruti is also a pramana, but it can only reveal the self indirectly, not directly, because self is Svaprakasha and a pramana is not required for realizing the self. So for negating the anatman, we need it. But for realizing the self, we realize I am. You don't need another person to tell you who you are. So, like that, Shruti is a pramana only indirectly by revealing uh, the anatman, negating the anatman. Now, according to Advaita, anything other than Brahman Atman, the conscious self, is mithya. Therefore, the scriptures are also mithya. Why? Because they are only books, paper, wood, brass. The medium is mithya, but message is nitya. The truth, the knowledge that is conveyed by Shruti, Brahman Atman, Jiva Brahma Aikya, that knowledge is nitya. But the Guru, the Sishya, all these books and other things, all are mithya. Mithya here means they are perceived, they have practical value. Mithya should not be confused with uselessness. Non eternal does not mean non existent or useless. Guru is mithya, but just like the dream lion or dream tiger helps a person to wake up from the nightmare, so also the Guru and Shruti, like that dream lion, help the person who is in the state of avidya to attain realization. Pot is mithya, but it helps you store water, cook food, and in earlier times, ornaments and money always stored in pots and hidden. So, mithya does not mean useless. Shruti is indispensable. And what is it that we discover? The Viseshamsa, the Sachidananda nature, that there is consciousness, which is the basis for all experience in Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. So that the person realizes as Chit Swarupa, that the person is Brahman, the supreme reality. That is the function. So Shruti gives knowledge indirectly. Shruti is needed to negate the anatman, not for real. How do you know atman? It has to be realized by oneself. Just as the 10th person, see, for example, while doing Kathakali or Yakshagana or Terukutu, the man puts on a female role like Draupadi and all that. And even when the person is his best and is getting an award for his performance, he is in the female role. He knows that he is a man. When the king goes in disguise in a bazaar or the mela, the king knows that he is a king. The other people will think that he is a fool or a villager or a gawar, ordinary person. But the king knows that he is king. Similarly, the Jivan Mukta also has got absolute mithyatva nishchaya. So, what is realization? Praptasya praptihi, attaining of the attained and negation of the non existent. What he was Brahman already, he is attaining, just like the ninth person who thought Dasama Purusha is absent realizes that he is 10, that Praptasya Prapti. Negation is of two kinds: negation of the non existent. For example, the person thinks this room there is a ghost all spirits and all that. Only when the light is put on, he knows that there is nothing in the room. So, negation of the non existent. And negation of the existent, suppose the thorn has pricked a person's foot, it can be pulled out and thrown away. So, like that, this bondage is also mithya. Because if bondage is real, it cannot be sublated. And if that bondage, avidya, is not jnana nivartya, then moksha is not possible for the jiva. So, this avidya is mithya and it is jnana nivartya. And attainment of the already attained, if the jiva is not Brahman, it cannot become Brahman. Just like a dog can only be a dog and not a cat, a caterpillar can become a butterfly. Like that, this jiva, which thinks it is finite, can realize its brahmatva only when this it comes out of the adhyasa with the dehatraya, stula, sukshma, and karana dehas. That is why when self realization takes place, even though the three bodies are there, the person is a Jivan Mukta. Why? Just like Dasharatha had three queens, but when he died, all the three became widows. Similarly, when the Ahankara, the ego, responsible for Mamakara and Dehabhimana, when that is eliminated, then the Stula Deha cannot bind because that jnani knows that he is different from body, mind, senses. Sukshma Deha, the jnani does not associate himself with the chitta vrittis. He knows that he is only the sakshin. And the karana deha avidya is already destroyed by the fire of realization. So, although there are three bodies, the jiva, which is the embodied soul in the eyes of others, for the realized person, he is a nitya mukta. The moment realization takes place, that is real death. Just like a tree which has been uprooted in a rain or storm, it continues to put forth shoots and green leaves and all that only as long as the water content is there in the tree. Once that water content is exhausted, the tree begins to die, dry up. Similarly, for the Jivan Mukta, the continuation of the body is only an instance of Badhitanuvritti, the continuation of the effect after the cessation of the cause. The cause is avidya, because of which the person had to uh, be born as a human being. And this embodiment will continue as long as prarabdha is active. But for the jnani, he is free from prarabdha, sanchita, agami karmas, because at the time of initiation, sanchita karma gets destroyed, agami karma gets destroyed because the person does nishkama karma as a sadhaka, and prarabdha will continue. But prarabdha karma is only for the body, not for the atman. Just like fever and headache and cold are only for body, mind, senses, not the self. So, the prarabdha karma, the body will continue as long as prarabdha is there. Once prarabdha gets exhausted, The Jivan Mukta will become a Videha Mukta. And they have to continue, because otherwise, if every person who became a jnani attained, we became a Videha Mukta, then there'll be no gurus to teach this knowledge to the people in bondage. So, these self realized people, they have to continue to live so that they can disseminate this knowledge and help other people attain liberation. So, this is how Shabda Pramana and the Jivan Muktas, who are Aptavakyas, serve as Pramanas for helping people attain moksha. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Madam Professor Santha Kumari, Madam, for your very beautiful exposition and conceptual analysis on Sabda Pramana. And you have very clearly explored Sabda Pramana as a key concept in Advaita Vedanta, which refers to the authority of the sacred text, particularly in Vedas, Upanishad, and the text, which is and you have very clearly explored all the things, all kinds of the pramanans, and particularly Shruti as a transcendental validity, not which is not concerned with the empirical validity. And you have your conceptual analysis on different um, uh, pramanas are very clear. I do not want to explore all the things. And today you have given us a very clear idea on Sabda Pramana, which emphasizes the importance of the scripture as a source of knowledge, and which is like a guidance for the spiritual growth and self relation. And you have very clearly reflected all the things. I do not want to uh, uh, explore or summarize your talk. I would like to request Professor Dr. Das to make introduction with our learned participants or observation, comment, and query. Over to Professor Das.
Thank you, Dr. Maharana, and we are very much grateful to um, the speaker for this wonderful presentation on Sabda Pramana. Actually, I have one doubt, so after that we shall go for interaction. Madam, when you are using the word Sabda Pramana,
Hmm.
um, do you use it in a secondary sense? Because Sabda Pramana is also there in the empirical mode of knowing, and you have rejected that because the other six modes of knowing, there is Sabda Pramana, verbal testimony. That only Shruti is accepted. So if Shruti is accepted as the only Pramana for the for Advaita knowledge,
Hmm.
so in what sense you use the word Sabda? What do you really mean by Sabda here?
See, we call it Shabda Pramana because we use language. Shabda words are used. So there is language even in the sciences and scripture. And I told you this is Adhyatma Vidya, and you have two kinds of knowledge: lower knowledge, higher knowledge. Lower knowledge is got through manas and indriyas about empirical phenomena, that is lower knowledge. Highest knowledge is knowledge of self. This is why in the Gita it is called Raja Vidya, sacred knowledge, secret knowledge, highest knowledge, because it is Taraka Jnana, it liberates people from bondage. So, Shabda language is used in all branches of knowledge, including scripture. But here, the example that we have to use is Kantakodharana Nyaya. Just like one thorn is used to remove another thorn and both are thrown away, we use language to know the limitation of the mind and the indriyas. And finally, we have to go beyond that. We have to go beyond that.
Yes, madam. That is called experience. That we have to know
Uh,
the truth through experience.
just
So,
like we make use of a banana
yes,
leaf for eating. After eating, we throw away the leaf. But while we are
yes, yes,
eating, we need a good clean. Similarly, we have to make use of scripture and all other empirical phenomena, all only for attaining self. That is why the only object worthy of attainment is Brahman for the Advaitan. That is why he does not give importance to other empirical phenomena, because the purpose of human birth is to attain moksha. Durlabam traime vaitad manushyatvam mumukshatvam mahapurusha. The satsang with these great people who will be instrumental in helping people. Because the purpose of human birth is to attain moksha. That is why Shankara in his Viveka Chudamani says that if after having attained human birth and all this knowledge, if a person does not uh, complete the journey in this Janma itself, it is like committing suicide.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. So now I shall invite Professor Ranjit Ghosh, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
please have your question. Ranjit, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Das. We have really enjoyed Madam Santa's lucid elaboration about Sabda Pramana. Now, I have only one thing one thing that is coming to me is this, that why actually Vedanta emphasizing on Sabda Pramana? Is it just to emphasize the non-duality of Atman and Brahman, and being an idealistic philosophy? Because we also find Sabda Pramana in Nyaya and Mimamsa, and even Mimamsa believes in the Sabda Nityavada. So, what actually is the difference between the Vedantic position and the Nyaya Mimamsa position? Thank you, madam.
See, for example, if you take Dvaita, I told you, see, for them, the world is real. Visishtadvaita, world is real. Maya is real. Bondage is real. But for the Advaitin, it is exactly the opposite. It is mithya, not eternal. Now, for the Dvaitin, they say Pratyaksha and Shruti all are equally important. And because Shruti is based on Pratyaksha, Shruti cannot falsify Pratyaksha, saying that the world is mithya, world is real. But for the Advaitin, it is just the opposite. He will say, if Pratyaksha can make the rope appear as a snake, then where is the guarantee that it is able to give you valid cognition or knowledge all the time? So for the Advaitan, because of the apaurusha nature of Shruti, they are revelations. And there are revelations, Christianity, Islam, or Hinduism, or any religion, all revelations are apaurusheya, God revealed revelations. They are not human compositions, and we cannot manipulate, insert, delete any word from scripture. it has to be accepted at face value. So for the Advaitin, Shruti is highest pramana compared to all the others. But other schools will have their own metaphysics and they will interpret the scripture, guru, or world, or human life according to their metaphysics. That is why I told you epistemology is the justification for metaphysics, and metaphysics will influence the sadhana that will be suggested by that particular school, because avidya is the cause of bondage. For the Advaitin, knowledge is jnana, swarupa jnana is the remedy for swarupa ajnana. Jiva Brahma Aikya Jnana, Aparoksha Jnana is the remedy for Mithya Jnana, that the person is body, mind, senses.
Okay, madam.
One thing,
Yes, yes, sir, please.
then what actually, if, then would we like to say that Sabda Pramana is the basic Pramana, because by Sabda we understand the historical facts, we understand the religious facts, we understand the other things, scientific facts. So Sabda becomes the basic of everything. And in that case, I want to reiterate that in order to establish the non-duality, that means Atman, first Atman, then Brahman. Atman is the Jiva Brahma Ivana Para. When we are saying this, that existence of the Atman, it is coming through Sabda. As you are saying that it is something apurusaya, and it is it need not be leaving aside charvak. We can say that it needs no justification. It is already there. Would you like to say in that way? Thank you.
So here you have to understand the Shabda may be given primary importance, but Shabda itself is based on Pratyaksha initially. They have to read the book or listen to the words. So their Pratyaksha becomes the basis for Shabda. See, even if you take the Aparoksha Jnana of Rishis, it is Atma Sakshatkara, that is Pratyaksha Jnana. This is Indriya Pratyaksha, that is Aparoksha. Paroksha Jnana and Aparoksha Jnana. So the Vedas and the scriptures, they are all Aparoksha Jnana of the rishis, but Paroksha Jnana for the jivas. Until that Paroksha Jnana becomes Aparoksha Jnana for the sadhaka, till then it is Paroksha Jnana. See, knowing that the pineapple is different from a jackfruit is different from mango. We can say all are yellow, all are fragrant, but only a person who has tasted the fruit will know the difference in the taste. So here Pratyaksha becomes the basis for even scripture. But Pratyaksha, what kind of Pratyaksha? Whether based on Indriyas, knowledge, or is it Aparoksha Jnana, self-revelation, self-awareness? See, somebody says you are so and so and all that. That is somebody's interpretation of you. But you becoming aware of yourself is self-awareness. So, scriptures, they are records of knowledge of the rishis, the self-realized rishis. But that is paroksha jnana for the sadhaka or the mumukshu until self-intuition, sakshatkar, until sakshatkar. Once sakshatkar happens, then you don't need all this. You know, in Jainism, they have Mati, Shruta, Avadi, Manaparyaya, and Kevala. Kevala Jnana is not dependent on Indriyas and Manas. So, for all these are Indriya Pratyaksha Jnana, lower knowledge. Sakshatkara is self realization, self awareness.
Yes, respected madam. Just to simplify this issue, I am interested to know this because I am working on it, Vedanta philosophy. Um, Sabda is there in both the general scripts as we understand language
Even
and
for Charvaka, there is Shabda.
yes, and Sabda is there in Shruti. This is very simple, clear. But
Language is only a means and a medium. It
yes,
is
yes,
not an end in itself.
yes, ma'am. And you told that the experts are different. Those who are expert in grammar, those who are expert in the linguistic rules, they can understand the general scripts written in the books.
Sir. An expert in the subject, botanist is an expert in botany. A chemistry man is an expert in his chemistry. A
Yes, ma'am.
physicist in physics.
Yes,
A grammarian in Vyakarana. A
yes.
artist in painting or drawing or sculpture. A gardener in horticulture. So, a
Similarly,
doctor cannot be an expert in history or archaeology or cooking, and a chemistry man is not an expert in philosophy or gymnastics or sports. So, expert is a person is in his own domain. He is not sarvagnya. He is not an expert in all branches of knowledge. A dentist cannot function for a cardiologist. A cardiologist cannot do an ENT. An ENT is not an orthopedic. An orthopedic is not a gynecologist or a
similarly,
pediatrician. So
madam,
every expert is an expert only in his field, not in other branches of knowledge.
madam, similarly, those who have self-realization, self-awareness, they can understand Shruti. Common man cannot understand it. So they are the
Common
Sabda.
man, say, 1 minute, sir. Common man cannot understand Shruti. One, because they are in Sanskrit usually. That is why you have all the Bhakti philosophers teaching you Nam Sankirtan. You don't need only scripture. There are karma, bhakti, dhyana, jnana, different means to attaining moksha, not only scripture.
Mhm.
Different ways of attaining moksha, depending
Yes.
upon their attitude. That is why
Okay.
you have different paths, all leading to the same goal. And there is the Jnana Marga is different. Dhyana Marga is for different people. Bhakti for different people. See, all the jnanis who, this Ramana Maharishi or Ramakrishna Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, they all did not study scriptures. They became jnanis. Nobody studied.
Thank you,
The
madam.
Gwalbal, all of them were illiterates. It is not age. Bhakti Prahalada and Dhruva. Ajamila was a sensuous man, but Gajendra was an animal, Nama. So the means to moksha are different depending upon their capacity and their eligibility for attaining their karma depends. If they are eligible for it, Guru's grace and God's kripa, anything can happen anytime.
Thank you, madam. And now we shall invite Dr. Srinivasan ji. Please have your question, sir. Very pertinent question, briefly. Dr. Srinivasan KR ji.
Yes. Good evening, madam. Thank you very much for
Good
your
evening, sir.
a beautiful speech on Sabda Pramana. But I am tempted to ask you or get it clarified, perhaps. How does the Sabda Pramana operates in the realization of Brahman, which is beyond everything? Upanishadic Mahavakyas functions not as a description of Brahman, but as a revelatory instrument only. Jnana Jnanaka Pramana, that removes ignorance only. That is avidya, about the already existing Swarupa. Brahman is Avan Manasa Gochara, that is beyond speech and mind. Shruti does not describe Brahman, but points towards it through Lakshana Vriddhi or indirect implication. For example, Tattvamasi. It does not define Brahman at all, but negates non-self, identifies and affirms non-duality through Adhyaropa Apavada method. This is one thing. The second point I would like to have my question or my clarification is that on Sat Samapatti. That means the yogi who is engrossed in meditation, deep rooted meditation, that is beyond Savichara Samadhi, where he is also focusing on verbal and Sabda Pramanas and finally goes to the Kaivalya Samadhi through Dharma Mega Samadhi. So there is a dichotomy between these two because Patanjali never has advised about these Mahavakyas. Only in Advaitam we get that Mahavakyas like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, or something like that. But in Patanjali, it is only enough if you do the Ashtanga Yoga. That is Dharana Dhyana Samadhi. The first four is Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, is all the elementary aspect. The primary aspect is only Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So, the common man, which way is easier? For the learned person, the Jnana Yoga is suitable. For the common man, it is enough if they learn all this yoga asanas and start doing this dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, and thereby attain Kaivalya Samadhi. How do you feel that Sabda Pramana operates in the realization of Brahman, comparing to Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, madam?
I get your question. See, in the Naishkarmya Siddhi, you find Sureshwara giving this example. For instance, if a person is nicely sleeping in deep sleep, not aware of anything around, then suddenly somebody is calling him by name loudly. Then the person is for some time disturbed from sleep. Then he realizes that he is being called. First, that he recognizes the noise and then realizes that his name is being called, he has to get up. So the same way for the person who is in Agyana, Shruti says, you are that. The Guru, Upadesha Vakya. When he realizes, it becomes Anubhava Vakya. I am that. Just like when that sadhu tells 1, 2, 3, and then when he hits that fellow on the head and says, you are the 10th, he realizes he is the 10th. The same way only through scripture, he gets pramana by negating body, mind, senses as mithya. Then when he does that avastatraya vichara, they know that body, mind, senses, they are all only sometimes present, sometimes absent, but consciousness is the sakshin. It is the chaitanya, which is bhava, abhava, ubhaya sakshin. If it is Jagrat and Swapna, it reveals the objects that are cognized in Jagrat and Swapna. In Sushupti, there is nothing that is revealed. But it's, you say, I slept well without knowing anything. Then who is it, that person who saw that there was nothing that was seen during Sushupti? It is only after waking up you say, I did not see anything. If after the dream he wakes up, he'll say whatever dream object he sees. So the person, as the moment he becomes conscious of this triputi distinction, knower, known, knowledge distinction, that is lower level. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, this distinction is absent. And so Patanjali had his own philosophy, Shankara has his own philosophy, Ramanuja has his own philosophy. Every philosopher is free to philosophize whichever way he wants. Every philosopher is a product of his times. There are situations which compel the philosopher to tell his philosophy according to the social conditions, the religious conditions, economic conditions, all other cultural conditions that prevail at a particular time. For example, if you take the history of Indian philosophy, there is first the Vedic period, then comes the Shramana period, that is Jainism and Buddhism. Jainism and Buddhism rejected the authority of Vedas and emphasized knowledge as means to moksha, either samyak jnana or whatever it is in Buddhism, or in Jainism, knowledge is the means to moksha. But when again there is revival of the Vedic period through Kumari Labhatta and Mandana Mishra, the Mimamsakas were responsible for the revival of the Vedic period. And then when Shankara comes in, he, like the Astika school, accepts the authority of the Vedas and rejects the ritualism of the Mimamsakas. And like the Nastikas, he accepts knowledge as the means to liberation, but the Vedas that were rejected by the Jains and the Bauddhas, that authority of the Vedas is accepted by Shankara. So you find Shankara doing a double service. He brings in the sanctity of the Vedas, and at the same time he is able to show that jnana and not karma is the means to moksha. So every philosopher is free to give his own interpretation. Later on, you have Ramanuja and Madhva, Vallabha, Chaitanya, all these people talking about bhakti and prapatti. So their philosophies are according to the demands of the particular time, place, context, religious, political, cultural scenario prevailing in their area. So this is how the philosophy of any philosopher is an answer to all these cluster of issues that are being addressed by a philosopher.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Madam. And now we shall invite Dr. Sanjay Kumar Tiwari.
That is
Yes.
why there Shankara is known as the Shanmata Stapanacharya. All the different cults, the Shakta, Shaiva, Tantric schools, everything were systematized, and he brings in the worship of Saguna Brahman, 6 forms, the Ganapatya, Shaurya, the Kaumara, Shakta, Shaiva, Vaishnava, the 6 schools, and but ultimately Nirguna Brahman. Just for example, the prime minister, the designation is permanent, but the person who is functioning as the prime minister will change from time to time. And that also for different countries, different prime ministers. So like that, Saguna Brahman is Mithya, Namarupa. The Brahma Tattva, that is Nitya. So Namarupa has to be abandoned. Just like water, pure water becomes lemon juice, orange juice, pineapple juice, or whatever, depending upon the color added and the flavor added into water. Like that, Nirguna Brahman is highest. But all these different Namarupa, just like the one actor putting on different roles. You know, this, if you were in that, in Tamil, there is this film where there's Gemini Ganeshan comes in so many roles, and 9 roles, 9 different roles. Dashavataram, you have this Kamal also coming in so many roles. So, like that, Nirguna Brahman, highest consciousness, but like fan, your geyser, AC, your electric stove, your computer, your iron box, the bulbs, then finally even the incinerator in the smashan. All these are electrical goods. But what is responsible for operating through them is electricity. No fan, no name, no form. You cannot see it. You can only infer it from its functions. So this caterpillar, butterfly, pig, fish, frog, dinosaur, human beings, all these are only Nama Rupa, reality, Chaitanya. Shuddha Chaitanya.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, Dr. Tiwari.
I am Dr.
Please.
Santha Kumari Tiwari from
Yes.
Prayagraj. First of all, thank you, ma'am, for
Thank
a
you.
delicious and great lecture on Indian epistemology. There is a small question which is raised from the Western side, that when you are saying that the Sabda Pramana stands free, and already you have accepted that the Sabda Pramana, we can't any question on the Sabda Pramana. We can't have any question on the Sabda Pramana. Then how I can say that it is the free? And second one is, there is not a fallacy like arguing in circle. I mean chakra dosh, when already we have accepted that we can't have any question on our Shrutis, then how you can say that it is free proof or pramana?
I got your question, sir. See, that you should not question scripture is only in the West. That is either for a Christian or a Muslim, because whoever questions it will be called a doubting Thomas, a heretic, or a kafir. And if they question it, they'll be either fatwa, or their throats will be cut, or religious intolerance, religious insult. They'll be beheaded in public. All this only in Abrahamic religions. First, in Indian philosophy, philosophy is only for a Viveki. The first prerequisite is Viveka. Vairagya comes next. The first prerequisite is Viveka. What is Viveka? When Vairagya is perfect, that is correct knowledge. What is correct knowledge? Knowing that other than Brahman, everything else is Mithya. Other than
Ma-
Brahman, everything
Ma'am,
else is Mithya. That is perfect knowledge for this. So the person, even to understand what is primary meaning, Mukhyartha, what is Lakshanartha, what is Bhagatyaga Lakshana, where you have to adopt the primary meaning, where you have to adopt secondary meaning. For all that interpretation of scripture itself, you need reason. But through reason, we have to know the limitations of reason. That is why in Indian philosophy, reason is not a pramana in any system of knowledge. It is only a pramana anga. It shows you what is mithya. It will negate error. But for confirming truth, you have to rely on scripture, because they are the records of the realized people. So we have to have reason. Without reason, we cannot even, without being a Viveki, we cannot even understand scripture. So to know the limitations of reason, to know the limitations of language, to know the limitations of the mind, it is in and through the mind that we have to get out of bondage. So that is why the example of the plantain tree is given. You know, you have the different kinds of vrittis: antakarna vritti, avidya vritti, maya vritti. Maya vritti makes Ishvara sarvagnya. Avidya vritti is responsible for error. Antakarna vritti, we have khanda vritti, akhandakara vritti. As the object, so the cognition. The object is finite, you have khanda vritti. But here Brahmanatman is akhanda. The mind cannot know that akhanda phenomenon, Brahman.
yes,
That is why you have to make manas amanas. Manas has to become amanas. Just like an elephant cannot fit into a pot, the mind cannot realize Brahman. Brahman has to be realized by being Brahman.
yes, ma'am.
Just like the person realizes oneself as 10th person, that experience has to take place. Just like the banana tree, after putting forth the bunch of bananas, it will die. Similarly, after this intellect attains intuition, the intellect no more intellect. That is why no more return to samsara, once
Okay,
for
ma'am.
all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. Viveka, Vairagya, and Mukhya. This is
That
Nice,
is
nice.
why
really,
Thank you.
yes, yes.
Nice, man.
Viveka is
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
first prerequisite. Otherwise,
Mm,
the person Agyani will be happy in the world. If
Yes,
they did
ma'am.
not have Viveka, they will think that all what they are seeing around is real. That is why Vidyaranya in his Panchadashi says, the
Yes, ma'am.
world of Maya is viewed in three ways by three different people. To the Laukika people, the world is real. To the
Yes, ma'am.
Tarkika, the logician, it is Anirvachaniya. And to the Jnani, it is Tucha.
mm.
Okay, ma'am.
Very
Thank
nice,
you. Thank
very
you, ma'am.
nice. True Vairagya will come from Viveka Jnana. And
Ah,
yes, and that sense of
because only
detachment.
when, see, just like a person whose stomach is full, even if the sweet is poisoned, a hungry person will not eat. So
Mm,
also when the person is Viveki, he knows all
mm,
these objects of the world are not the sources of sukha, but only dukkha. For
mm,
example, the silk, soft silk, if we put it on the cheek of a baby, it will enjoy it and it will laugh. But if a small fiber of that silk gets into the eye, it causes a lot of irritation and water begins to flow from the eye. Similarly, for what is object of bhoga for the Laukika people, they are objects of enjoyment. But for the yogi, embodiment and living in the world itself is a painful experience. That is why that example is given. Mumukshu. Suppose you take a person who is scared of water and you take him to the beach. Huh? That fellow will refuse to come near the water. But you say, no, 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 you come. We are all there. We'll hold you. Then, when one big wave is coming, you just hold him by the neck and you dip him inside the sea. What will he do? He'll push you out and he'll run towards the land, isn't it? So, also the same way for the person who has absolute vairagya, all these objects of the world are sources of sorrow. They'll not be bothered. That is why you find even as a sadhaka, Siddhartha, he renounced the palace and he went as a only after he became Buddha. He, that is why you have two kinds of realization. That is Vidvat Sannyasa and Vividisha Sannyasa. Vividisha Sannyasa, they will renounce for that sake of attaining moksha. For example, there's Buddha, all these people, they renounce, they attain realization. But Vidvat Sannyasa, they attain realization and therefore they renounce. So, like that, Ramana Maharishi, he attained realization and then he left home. So, like that, it depends on their karma, their past and thing, whatever, whether Vividisha or Vidvat Sannyasa, absolute vairagya. Without vairagya, no sadhana is possible because they'll be enjoying the world. Only when they have no interest in the world, then they will turn towards moksha. Otherwise, they'll say, let me first enjoy the world. When I become old and I have time, then I'll think about doing sadhana and becoming jnani, all that. So, Viveka, Vairagya, they are like the two wings of the bird. If the bird has to fly, both have to be there. That is how the soul, with the Viveka and Vairagya, will be able to attain moksha.
very nice, madam. So we shall conclude here. Uh, Very nicely, madam explained. suppose Vairagya is not based upon Viveka, then it is dogmatism. As Westerners say, that Indian philosophy is dogmatism. It is not really dogmatism. We believe in Viveka
We are
Jnana.
questioning. That is why you
Yes,
have Manana and
yes,
Nididhyasana. Manana is discussing with the Guru for
yes,
clarity. Only when
yes.
there is clarity, confusion can go.
Very
If there is
rational.
no discussion, there cannot be clarity. And for
Hmm.
that, you have to be first rational. Reason is important. Argument discussion is important. Without these, we cannot have realization. But we should know.
Yes.
That
Yes,
is
ma'am. Yes,
why
ma'am. Yes.
Advaita says,
Thank you.
Shrutyanugrahita tarka. Shrutyanugrahita tarka. That is logic which is in conformity with scripture, which clarifies scripture, which is in
Hmm.
conformity with scripture and establishes the teaching of scripture. That Shrutyanugrahita
Hmm.
tarka, that kind of logic is necessary for
Yes.
yeah. Mm.
Yes. If there is no Viveka, simply we can have only Swansana Vairagya. That
Ah.
Vairagya is not the true Vairagya. Swansana Vairagya, temporary Vairagya. We shall
We'll have
return
Vairagya, but it will be aimless. Aimless.
aimless, no
There'll
direction.
not be a goal for
No,
attainment.
yes, no direction.
Mm.
Thank you, madam. So we shall not go further because we shall not disturb the ambience that we experienced today's talk from madam. So now I shall request Kailash Chandra Mahana sir, please give your vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Please.
okay, thanks so much, Dr. Das. So today is a very wonderful day for all of us because uh, Professor Santa Madam uh, has made us mm, very clear in every aspect of Sabda Pramana, and we all have been benefited by her talk, by her exposition, and by her wisdom. Today, he has very clearly said that how Sabda Pramana helps us to understand the nature of reality, how it helps in spiritual growth and self-relation, how it helps in liberation, and how the conceptual and by giving the conceptual knowledge, by giving the conceptual clarity, she has made that how it aims at attaining the Paramarthika Sata or Paramarthika Satya, and which is different from empirical truth, and how it has a very transcendental validity. So, yeah, she has made us benefited from every ground. So, today, Philosophy Family expresses its gratitude to Professor Santa Madam because Santa Madam is a very genius in Indian philosophy, and we have listened, we have witnessed her talk in different webinars in YouTube channel, and we all have been benefited by her. And today, for conceptual clarity, while responding to the questions and observation of different learned participants, has giving us the knowledge of Indian philosophy and particularly Vedantic philosophy in a very wide manner. And she has given that how Brahma can be attained by being Brahman and by conceptual clarity of uh, and today we on behalf of Philosophy Family express our gratitude to Professor Santa Madam to be with us and to have benefited us in every aspects. I extend my gratitude to Professor Ranjit Ghosh, Professor Srinvasan Nair, Professor Sanjay Kumar, and all the participants to be with us and to share their experiences, observations, and introduction with us. And I express my gratitude to Professor Pramod Kandas to have a very good connectivity with Professor Santa Madam and to invite her to our platform. So today we are benefited a lot, and we express our gratitude, madam, and all the learning participants to be with us from the beginning till the end. Thanks so much. Now I would like to request Professor Pramod Kumar Das to wind up the
Yes,
session.
yes, yes. We shall conclude this session with one request to Madam, as we have also discussed earlier. Madam, please, we shall continue this Vedanta class through
Yes,
your
sir.
talk, through your talk.
No, yes,
That we
I
shall
will.
promote that. So we
Um,
shall take different concepts like Mayavada, like Jivana Mukti. So many
mm.
concepts are there. We shall discuss different. Maybe every month one talk, or one talk in 2 months. With a regular interval, we shall meet.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
madam.
all of you, sir, because of time constraints. I thank
Yes,
all
ma'am.
of
Yes,
you belonging to this philosophy family, all the participants, everybody. Thank you very much. And I hope that you have recorded this so
yes,
that
yes.
it will be of use for
Yes,
all
ma'am.
the
Yes,
other
yes, ma'am.
people who may have. Want to attend but were not possible to make it, it will be there for their use.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
And we'll keep in touch and continue
Yes, ma'am.
our
Yes, ma'am.
activity.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much.
Grateful,
Thank you.
grateful to ma'am.
Namaste.
Yes,
Namaste.
ma'am. Now the session is over. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.